Chapter 1. Before the beginning. Close your eyes and picture this. Not a star, not a galaxy, not even the black emptiness of space. Nothing. No sound. No time. No place. Just nothing. It is a concept almost impossible for the human mind to grasp, because even when we try to imagine nothing, we picture a dark space. But darkness is still something. What existed before the universe is beyond our imagination. And yet, from this unimaginable silence, the greatest story ever told begins. Scientists tell us that around 13.8 billion years ago, reality itself awoke. In a fraction of the tiniest fraction of a second, the universe was born, not in a fiery explosion into space, but as the creation of space and time itself. A single point, infinitely dense, infinitely hot, erupted into motion. This event, the Big Bang, set everything into motion. The stars, the galaxies, the worlds, and ultimately, us. But what happened in those first moments was far stranger than you might think. The universe expanded at a rate faster than light itself, in an instant called cosmic inflation. Imagine space stretching like a balloon. Faster than your eyes could follow, faster than any speed you can comprehend. Tiny quantum ripples, little shivers of randomness, were amplified by this expansion, frozen into the fabric of space. Those tiny ripples, almost nothing at all, would one day grow into the grand architecture of the cosmos. Clusters of galaxies, swirling stars, and the vast web of matter that stretches across billions of light-years. For the first few minutes, the universe was a seething storm of energy, hotter than the core of any star. Matter and antimatter collided and destroyed each other in flashes of light, but somehow, matter won by the smallest of margins. That tiny victory is the reason anything exists at all, because if the scales had balanced perfectly, the universe would have ended in emptiness. Instead, hydrogen and helium were born, the simple elements that would fuel the creation of stars. Let us pause here. Take a breath. Imagine the universe, not as you see it today, but as it was then, a glowing ocean of pure light and energy, stretching endlessly. No galaxies, no planets, just heat and brightness everywhere. Yet hidden in that fiery sea was the potential for everything. For the stars that would shine, for the worlds that would form, for the life that would one day ask, where did we come from? And the story does not stop there. For after that first blinding brilliance came something strange, a long darkness. As the universe expanded, it cooled. Light could no longer travel freely. It was trapped in a fog of particles. For hundreds of millions of years, there were no stars, no galaxies, just darkness. A universe asleep, waiting. But out of this darkness, a spark was coming. A spark that would change everything. Because soon, the first stars would ignite, and the universe would light up for the very first time. And when those stars came alive, they did more than shine. They created. They fused atoms in their fiery hearts, forging the building blocks of life itself. Every carbon atom in your body, every iron atom in your blood, was once born inside a star. And when those first stars died, they scattered those elements into space, seeding the cosmos with the ingredients of life. So the story of the universe is not just about distant galaxies. It is about you. You are, quite literally, the ashes of ancient stars. And as we continue this journey, remember this. To look out into the night sky is to look back into your own origin. Stay with me, because this story has only just begun. Chapter 2. The Birth of Everything. 13.8 billion years ago, reality itself took its first breath. But to call it an explosion is far too simple. The Big Bang was not an ordinary bang. It was not a star-going supernova, not fire tearing through a sky. No, this was the moment when the sky itself was born. It was not an eruption into space, but the eruption of space. Not light breaking into darkness, but the creation of light and the invention of darkness itself. For a heartbeat, though time itself was just awakening, the universe was smaller than a grain of sand. Yet in that grain was everything. The galaxies that would one day sprawl across billions of light years, The atoms that would build mountains and oceans, the spark that would become life, the questions that would become you. All of it was hidden in that tiny speck, waiting to unfold. Then came inflation. In less than a trillionth of a second, space itself ballooned outward faster than the speed of light, dragging with it every particle, every vibration, every possibility. What had been smaller than an atom was suddenly vast beyond comprehension. Imagine a single dust swelling to the size of a galaxy, then a cluster of galaxies, then a universe. All before you could blink. This was not just growth. It was creation on a scale so profound that words collapse under its weight. And in this fiery storm, rules began to form. The fundamental laws of physics, gravity, electromagnetism, the nuclear forces, were etched into the fabric of reality, like code written into a newborn cosmos. Before this moment, there were no rules, no order,
no certainty.
But now, the game of existence had rules, and everything that would follow would play by them. Matter and antimatter collided in flashes of energy, annihilating each other in perfect symmetry. But not perfectly enough. For reasons science still struggles to explain, a tiny imbalance remained. A fraction of matter left standing after the Great War of Opposites. And that fraction, that thin survival, is everything. It is the reason galaxies exist. It is the reason you exist. If matter and antimatter had canceled each other out perfectly, the universe would have faded into pure radiation, lifeless and empty. Instead, the survivors became the building blocks of worlds. Slowly, the inferno cooled. From that cooling came the first particles, the first protons and neutrons, the first atoms of hydrogen and helium. Simplicity, yes, but simplicity with destiny. Because these two humble elements would fuel the first stars, and those stars would, in time, forge all the heavier elements. Oxygen for your breath, calcium for your bones, iron for your blood, carbon for your cells. The universe was laying down its foundation stones, piece by piece, like an architect designing a cathedral that would take billions of years to build. Now pause. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of that newborn universe. Imagine the roar of creation echoing through nothingness, the blaze of pure energy stretching in every direction. Nothing is yet familiar, and yet everything familiar is already written there, hidden in the patterns of energy, waiting for time to unlock it. This is the true miracle of beginnings, the fact that in chaos, order was hiding. In emptiness, fullness was waiting. In fire, the seed of life itself was being forged. And as the universe expanded and cooled, a silence began to fall. The blinding storm softened. The furious light dimmed. The stage was set for the next act in the cosmic drama, an act that would bring the first true brilliance, the birth of stars. Chapter 3: When Darkness Learned to Shine. 400 millions of years after the Big Bang, the universe was asleep. Imagine an ocean of darkness stretching endlessly in every direction. There were no stars, no galaxies, no light. Only hydrogen and helium, floating in silence, waiting. The cosmos had been born in fire, but now it rested in shadow. This was the cosmic dark age, a time when the universe looked empty, but it was not empty. Invisible ripples left over from the Big Bang were quietly pulling matter together, shaping invisible patterns across the vastness of space. Gravity worked in silence, gathering clouds of gas, pulling them tighter and tighter, like an unseen sculptor preparing the clay of creation. And then it happened. Deep within those clouds, under the crushing weight of gravity, hydrogen atoms began to fuse. The pressure grew unbearable, the heat unimaginable, until suddenly, the first spark ignited. And with that spark, the very first star was born. Imagine it. In a universe that had known only darkness, a point of light bursts alive. And then another. And another. Soon, the silent void was pierced by brilliance. The cosmic dawn had begun. These first stars were not like the stars we know today. They were titans, massive, unstable giants, burning with furious energy. They lived fast and died young, some in only a few million years. But in their blazing hearts, a miracle was happening. fusion. These fiery giants fused hydrogen into helium, then into heavier elements: carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron. They were factories of creation, forging the elements that would one day make mountains, oceans, forests, and living beings. But their greatest gift came in their deaths. When these first stars could burn no more, they collapsed under their own weight and exploded as supernovae. Cosmic fireworks, so powerful they outshone entire galaxies. In those violent deaths, the elements they had created were scattered into space, mixing with the vast sea of hydrogen and helium. The universe was no longer simple. It was no longer just light and darkness. It now carried the ingredients of life. Pause here, close your eyes, and imagine what the night sky looked like then, though no human eyes yet existed to see it. A universe coming alive with scattered jewels of light, stars blazing into being, galaxies swirling into form. The silence of darkness giving way to a symphony of brilliance. And here is the part that should shake you. Every atom of carbon in your body, every oxygen molecule in your lungs, every trace of iron in your blood was born in those stars. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos. You are stardust, given consciousness. Stay with me, because the story is only getting more astonishing. The stars had been born, but now, something greater was about to take shape. The galaxies, the vast cities of stars that would become the architecture of the universe. Chapter 4. The Birth of Galaxies, Cities of the Cosmos. The universe had its first stars, blazing like torches in the dark. But scattered lights alone do not make a world. Just as single sparks need to gather into a fire, those first stars began to cluster together, pulled by the invisible hand of gravity. Out of the darkness, vast structures began to take shape. The cosmos was no longer only stars. It was becoming organized. It was becoming alive. And what emerged were galaxies, immense, swirling islands of light, cosmic cities that would house billions upon billions of stars. Imagine looking out across a newborn universe and seeing the first galaxies flicker into being. Some small and irregular, like faint smudges. Others majestic, spinning into spirals of unimaginable beauty. The night sky was no longer scattered. It was filling with grand designs, patterns written across billions of light years. A galaxy is more than a collection of stars. It is a story of order wrestled from chaos. Within its spiral arms or its glowing core, stars are born, live, and die. Clouds of gas swirl and collapse, birthing new suns. Ancient stars fade and vanish, leaving behind remnants that seed the next generation. A galaxy is like a vast ecosystem, a living organism stretched across space, evolving over billions of years. And the scale is beyond imagination. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, contains perhaps 400 billion stars. But it is only one galaxy among hundreds of billions, perhaps trillions, scattered across the observable universe. Each one a universe of its own, with stars, planets, perhaps even life. If you were to count every galaxy one per second, it would take you longer than human history itself to finish. That is how rich, how infinite the universe became when galaxies took form. Pause for a moment and picture it. Endless spirals, shining like cosmic pinwheels, filling every corner of the heavens. Some colliding, merging, tearing each other apart, then reshaping into something new. Galaxies do not live quietly. They dance, they crash, they transform. Even our own Milky Way carries scars of ancient collisions, and one day, billions of years from now, it will merge with the Andromeda Galaxy in a slow-motion embrace, becoming something altogether new. But beyond their beauty, galaxies hold a deeper mystery. At their hearts, something dark lurks. Supermassive black holes, millions or billions of times the mass of the sun. These monsters anchor galaxies, shaping their stars, controlling their growth. They devour matter, unleash jets of energy brighter than anything else in the universe, and yet, without them, galaxies might not even exist. Light depends on darkness. Creation depends on destruction.
Think about that.
The very structure of the universe rests on a delicate balance of forces: gravity pulling together, black holes consuming, stars igniting, galaxies colliding. Out of chaos comes beauty. Out of destruction comes creation. And through this endless dance, the universe built the stage for what would come next: solar systems, planets, and the long journey toward life itself. The stars had been born. The galaxies had risen. The cosmos had its grand architecture. And now, within these galaxies, new wonders would unfold. The birth of worlds, the shaping of places where life could begin its fragile song. Stay with me, because the story of galaxies is not just about the heavens above. It is about the very home we live in, the Milky Way, and the extraordinary path that would one day lead to a small, blue planet orbiting an ordinary star, a planet we call Earth. The true drama unfolds when stars give birth to worlds. In the next part, we will witness the birth of the solar system, a story of fire, chaos, and creation you cannot miss.